Yeah. So,
Hey guys, just so you know,
hey.
we're live right now, but our guest may be running a little late. He's working his way on trying to get in here. Uh, he wasn't aware that Hangouts is a required app to have connected to his Google, so
Okay.
he may be trying to download Hangouts. So hopefully that will work to get him in here. Now, if not, we do have two other backup plans where we do plan on sharing stories. Nikki's on her way in here. She's on her way home. She got the invite. Um, Baltimore, I know he's got the invite.
I
I
know I
even
sent
sent.
it to him.
Okay, cool. And I even sent Fred. I don't know if Fred's around, but I even sent Fred a link. Um, Now, another one we'll be having on here tonight is Mike Singleton, the host of the YouTube channel Blue Ridge Bigfoot. He has gathered numerous Bigfoot stories, and he's got some very incredible ones. For anyone who's ever listened to any of the stories shared on his YouTube channel, he has some pretty good ones. So, and like I said, he just got off of work at 9. Um, I don't know how far he's got to go to get home, but he did say he will be late. But that's all right. I think between with who we have on the panel right now, we have enough to talk about Bigfoot. And as I'm talking right now, I'm hearing notifications popping in, so I think my guy's messaging me. Okay, he said it's work. He's working on it. It's installing, but it's going real slow. All right. Okay. Great. All right. So yeah, our guest, his name is Kevin Smith. One of his sightings he's had, well, one sighting he did have was back in 1981, and Mr. Kevin Smith is from Ontario. So no, excuse me, Toronto. I'm sorry, Toronto.
Yep.
And he said he has other experiences, so this should be interesting to hear what he has to share.
So,
Um,
is he from Toronto, Ontario, though, Daniel?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, he's down this way then.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get tongue tied trying to pronounce this. I know some of the experiences he mentioned was in the end. I'm not even gonna say. I'm gonna try to type it in and see if it shows up. I'm not gonna try to pronounce this word. I know. Uh, Hold on. Give me a second.
Be probably up in northern Ontario a bit, most likely.
Oh, here we go. The Adirondacks mountains.
Adirondacks. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he's had experiences around the Adirondacks mountains. I guess. So I didn't want to try to say it without looking at the word. I knew I was going to get it wrong one way or another. So, all right, hold on. He said try him now. So, all right, let me. I'm going to try sending him the link. See if that works. Since he's got that. Hopefully this works. If not, I'll try the email invite. All right, that's not showing up right.
Diggy, you got to wait a little bit before we go squatching tonight, buddy. I'm busy. my old dog here, he's wanting to go the worst way. You just got to wait a little bit, Dig. No worries, bud. We'll get out there. I told you. We'll go chase the wolves around in the middle of the night, eh? Huh? You go wait and do it for me. Good boy.
Yeah, Buck. How late? How late do you normally when you go out in the evening? How late do you stay out?
Oh, all depends on what's going on, temperature and this and that. Summertime, it's all night. Night like tonight, that's hard to say. We'll just go out for a nice long walk, eh? Yeah, be a few hours, anyways. Yeah,
Okay.
these end of the week, the dogs they need a good walk, anyways, eh? So they've been right on to me all night, but I've been busy. I got home late and busy with dinner and stuff. So
Right.
they'll, yeah, they're just patiently waiting, but they'll be all right. The old dogs. Yeah, it's a busy week for me. Working away.
Let me try something here. All right. Apparently, the link that I'm sending them, you said is still showing up as an error.
Get his email.
Yeah, I am.
Because that's how we got Buck in here.
Yeah, I always have a hard time with technology myself. Just being so old school, eh? But I'm glad it sure. I sure am glad it's working now. It's nice to be able to talk Bigfoot with some people, you know, instead of just sitting by myself wondering about stuff all the time. Eh? Yeah, it's
Well,
nice.
I got a question for Buck while we're waiting on this guy to get on. What's your? I've got to know, what is your secret to growing such an awesome beard, Buck?
Oh, has a lot to do with your girlfriend, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I just, yeah, I've just let it grow over the years. Some people are lucky and can grow them out, you know, and others can't. Yeah.
See, I can't get nowhere past down to about my chest whenever I'm sitting there because the beard I wore to Virginia, I ended up shaving it off back in September, October, whenever I had my heart trouble. And that took me all year from January on down to September to grow it that long. And
Oh, yeah.
then anymore I go and I see some of these old timers that's got beard hanging down to their belly. I said, "What's your secret? You like beards?" And he goes, "No, I'm just too damn lazy to shave."
Yeah, it might be my ancestors are kind of from over there in the Neanderthal Valley. So I figure, you know, maybe some of us people have just a little more of them genes and can grow out more hair. And it's just like, you know, some people are in the woods and it's the same thing. You're just more at home in the woods than in society. You never know. You never know what them old genes are kicking out in there, eh? But it might have something to do with that too. Just where your ancestors come from in the world. Warmer climate, you're not going to have so much hair. You know what I mean?
Right.
Colder climate for your ancestors, like ancient way back, that your genes are going to come from. Colder climate, you're going to grow out more hair, I guess. You know.
Well, Daniel,
Funny
what's your
story.
excuse
Oh,
then?
sorry. Go ahead, guys.
What's that?
What's
Zach?
your excuse then? You're from Massachusetts. It don't get that cold.
We're up in Massachusetts
Yeah, up there in Douglas.
during the winter times. Yeah, it gets pretty cold up there. Not like down here in Virginia. I mean, like down here in
Oh no,
Virginia,
you guys got
it's
some.
very mild. But yeah, I have no beard right now, as you can see. I shaved my face.
Yeah, so did I. I got the Daniel Benoit look.
You're just a copycat.
Yeah, well, you're talk about copycat, and you're one with your hair like Baltimore's.
Why? Because I got it right here in a ponytail.
Yeah, you got the little ponytail going on there.
At least it ain't in a bun. I got it pulled
You
back.
do that, I'd scalp you. I'd have to. I would go and have to say, "Give me your man card," and shave your face for the rest of your life.
I'm only doing this that way it grows out. That way I'm gonna try to get long hair. So,
Oh
but
God,
Yeah.
they're gonna shoot you thinking you're Bigfoot.
Bobcat says I like to grow a beard like that. I think he's referring to you, Buck.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually cut my ponytail off this year. My hair.
Oh,
I had about 10 years and it was just too wiry and all split ends and dead and stuff. Just too much for me to take care of anymore. So I'm keeping the beard, but the hair's gone. Yeah.
Your beard used to be way out to the side too. You cut it
Oh
off. I
yeah.
got chops.
Yeah. In the winter, I let her grow back out. So I'm working on her again now, eh? But yeah, don't take long either. Mine just goes like that again, eh? Like right out there, yeah.
That reminds me of a kid I went to school with. His name Donnie, and Donnie would come to school shaved, and by the end of eighth period, he'd have a full beard on.
Yeah, some people are just like that. You know, your guest tonight there is from Toronto. And funny story, I was in Toronto not long ago, just this summer at the exhibition. Eh? It's a big, huge event. My first time ever going. I was in this warehouse and I was walking along and this guy, he spotted me from a ways away and he was waiting for me to get there. He sold beard products for men. Then he saw me coming and he thought, oh, I got a sale. So he come right up. Whoa, nice beard, he says. And right away, this guy, he's one of these fancy beard wearing guys. So right away he says to me, he says, "What are you using?" He says, "What do you put in that?" And I said, "Oh, diesel, gasoline, fire, sparks, sunlight, freezing cold, ice, snow, like I'm a redneck, but I don't put nothing special in my beard except a few welding sparks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well,
I'd be scared to have a beard that long, because I saw a video the other day of this woman, and she had hair on top of her head like you got on your face, and that thing lit up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, our guest, he, for some reason, I don't know what it is. He is unable to get in here. He has the Hangouts app downloaded, and he's got a Gmail account, but for some reason it keeps saying error is not working for him. I mean, he's trying to get on through his phone, and that's the only kind of device he has. He has an old iPhone 4, so which I mean should still work. I mean, so I'm not sure what that is. And look, we got Mr. Mike Singleton with us just in time.
Just popped on.
Yeah. All right. I wasn't expecting you so soon, because I know you just got off of work not long ago. So.
Well, I kind of lied. I was eating dinner too. So.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Big, you got to eat.
Well, I'll tell you what. I was just telling the other two gentlemen that's with us right now that our main guest is unable to make it in here. He tried. It just the link, and I sent him the link and the email invite. Either way was not working for him. And we'll have a couple others join us. Well, I know at least Nikki will for sure. She's on her way home. And if the others pop on, that's cool. But tonight I wanted to talk about Bigfoot encounters and everything. And first of all, Mike, you're turning out to be our main guest, so I'll be putting you on the spot tonight. Well, now, Mike, first of all, let me ask you, how long have you been gathering stories?
A couple of years, but at the same time, a long time. I'm 52, and it's kind of weird how it all came about. I've had my dad and friends of my dad and people who have shared stories and all kinds of wild things, and I used to write them all down, and I was so infatuated with it, and I had absolutely no idea what I was supposed to do with it. And I just kind of held on to these crumpled pieces of paper, and I always wondered if there was ever going to be a way to use it, like an outlet or something. And I don't know, maybe I was a little slow to jump on YouTube. I didn't really figure it out, but up until recently, actually the guy who gave me the idea was I don't know if you know him, but Dave from Pac West Bigfoot.
Yeah. I know. I don't know him personally, but I know of him. Yeah.
So he let me read a story. We just had this back and forth going on an email, and I was like telling him, "Oh man, you should really have this guy or that guy read your story for you." And I don't know if he was being sarcastic or being a smart mouth back, but he's like, "Well, do you want to do it?" Yeah.
Wow.
Like, wow, can I read one of your stories? Because I always loved his stories. And he let me read it. And, I know it wasn't me, but it had like 25,000 views or something. I'm like, oh my God, people actually liked it. But, it was his story.
Yeah.
So I did it. I liked it. And I kept thinking, I wonder if I could kind of put together what I've got and do it. So I started rolling out a couple here and there, and it was difficult at first, and then of course YouTube is doesn't like if I use a sound effect or something, so I can't get monetized, which is okay, but
right.
it's been a fun little adventure coming up on here about a year. And,
wow.
And the best part is that as you start to tell the stories, people reach out to you and say, "Hey, I've got a story. Hey, I've got a story." And
right.
and I've been collecting stories as I've been going along. Some of the stories I can't share because they're just Some of them are a little out there.
Totally understandable.
Totally understandable. Yeah, some of them have to do with flying saucers and people that speak in your head, and I just don't think those are very interesting. I've always been a big fan of Bigfoot. I mean, I'm that typical guy that everybody talks about. Oh yeah, the guy who saw the Patterson Gimlin film. I saw it on In Search Of. I'm probably a little older than some of you guys, but I was that kid. I was that boy that saw it on a Sunday night sitting in front of my grandmother's wooden TV with the legs, the old Zenith.
Oh yeah, I've had one.
Yeah, watch it. It was just awesome. It was so scary to see, and of course Leonard Nimoy made it sound so real. It was just awesome. But
tell you what, Mike, looking at your YouTube channel, for the short time you've done this, you are doing amazing. I mean, first of all, you got 6,872 subscribers.
Holy crap, do I?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now on my phone, and shoot, your latest upload, Zombie Bigfoot, which on here shows posted 2 days ago.
Yeah,
4.7 thousand views already. Golly, in 2 days.
Well, let me tell you, I get to name my it's my channel, and when the people tell me these stories, I mean, just keep in mind they're campfire stories, so I have to. I have to make it interesting and I know this sounds hypocritical in a way, but Daniel, if you tell me a story and you just say, you're driving down the road, something crossed in front of you, and you looked at it looked at you, and thought you heard a rock hit the back of your car, and then you kept on driving. I mean, that's not really that interesting. So I have to get a little creative, but I do try to stick to the truth. I try not to make the monster do something it didn't do. But I tell you what, when that guy told me that Cole, his name kept getting repeated, I don't know if anybody heard the story or not, but that freaked me out. I tell you what, it's bad enough that this creature could quite possibly exist and do all of the things that it's supposedly done, whether it eats meat or doesn't eat meat, or where does it travel, what does it do. But if it can actually talk or say a one-syllable word to try to entice you to come out,
right,
or try to trick you or try to sneak up behind you, I mean that's taking it to another level. So
yeah, I've heard
true, but it's pretty darn scary.
Oh yeah, that's weird. I know I have. I'm sure the other guys on the panel and those listening, I know I've heard other stories where people claim they have heard their name being called out, which is. That's weird. I mean, I'm not going to dismiss that. I'm not going to call them liars.
I've been there.
Something got their attention.
Called out in the woods.
Have you really, Zach?
Yeah, my full name, and it just said Zach, and it sounded like my mother saying it.
Oh wow! Like it mimicked your mom.
And she was 2 miles away.
Oh wow!
And I was by myself.
That's
well,
scary.
Mike, to clear that one up, it was his mother telling him to come clean his room.
Talk about taking a whiz right down my leg whenever I heard it too. Yes, I thought you was after me.
You better behave yourself. She will come after you. She's right in the other room.
She's just sitting right on the other side of my studio.
I'm sorry, I don't know the gentleman I'm looking at on the small window.
Bucky.
Oh, that's Buck.
Buck Nye, the Bigfoot guy. All hail Buck Nye.
Were you on Southern Illinois Monster Hunters last week?
Yeah, it was that week or two ago. I was on, yeah.
Yeah, I listened to your story about the Knox. That was great. I just heard it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's like you said. That story is true. I just told it. It's the truth, and it's kind of freaky to hear it because it's just the truth. But I know what you mean, as I have only a handful of little stories, but some of them, it's nothing happened. I mean, nothing big, and So yeah, I understand what you're saying about some stories. You'd have to kind of make them a little scarier or something. Hey, you know what I mean?
It's all about. I mean, I believe that Bigfoot, and just probably like you do, we all believe it's a real animal. It doesn't necessarily have a paranormal, but that doesn't mean that, you can't express your opinion and say, well, this is what I think it is. Well, that's okay, but I think it's something else. Now, I haven't seen one. So I guess I think I heard Nikki say it as well. Good point she made the other night. I'm a believer, but I'm not a knower because I have not seen it. So I know that it exists, but I feel like it does exist. I talk to all these people, and all these people give me some incredible stories. And I feel like, I'm not a lie detector, but I feel like I'm getting a lot of information that could very well be true. It's nothing except for the ones about the supernatural, which I tend to push away.
I'm a lot like that too. I stay quiet. And even just Zach saying that the one that called out his name sounded like his mom. Well, if you think about that, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? First of all, for a Bigfoot to call out your name, it had to hear someone else call your name. It had to have heard someone else say your name. And it's like, okay. Now, if it mimicked his mother, it sounded like his mom calling his name. It probably heard his mom calling his name and was trying to mimic her sound along with the word. Something like that right there. I always think about stuff like that real hard.
Yeah.
Anything.
That would make sense.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It'd be just like me. Like, I'm out alone all the time. My dogs, they don't call my name, obviously. So I'm never going to have that. However, if Heather was with me and she was to say my name out loud, then they would know they had heard that word and be able to repeat it, eh?
Yep.
Nikki joining us.
There you go. Here she is.
Hey, guys.
Welcome aboard.
Hello, Miss Nikki.
Hi, Zacharooney.
All right. Yeah, we got a good
So
we got
you
a
guys-
good little chunk of listeners on the live chat. So yeah, Tracy Arnold is joining us tonight, which is awesome. So yeah,
good.
Nice.
Sweet. Hiking with the Sasquatch Outlaw.
Yeah.
Right before he goes to prison, as he says. He told me that the other night, and he scared the shit out of me whenever he said that. I'm like, he said, I asked him if he wanted to be on Geek Squatch with us as a thing because I know he's a video gamer too. And he went and he said, no, I got so much going on. All that I'm getting ready to go to prison. I'm like, say what?
He's getting ready.
He goes,
he's getting ready to have a job. He's going to be a PO, a CO, correctional officer. Yeah, that's what he means. He's going to be working at a prison. So, yeah, he will be going to prison to work. Not on the chain gang either.
Convict.
Yeah, for those just joining us right now, we have Mr. Mike Singleton of Blue Ridge Bigfoot YouTube channel. We're talking about Bigfoot encounters and Bigfoot stories, and so far he just filled us in on his start with the YouTube channel, and he hasn't been doing this. According to him, he hasn't been doing this all too long, but he's rising up there with over 6,872 subscribers, and he's people are listening, and he does have some very incredible stories, and we're gonna get into some of those here very shortly.
Oh boy!
No, I got something.
I wasn't prepared for this.
Well, I'll try to narrow it down to help you share something. First of all, I know it'll be a lot to look back on, but with all the stories you have, but is there any right offhand that really stood out to you that you felt that had some serious credibility, and something that had some excitement behind it?
Well, I can think of quite a few, but the one that's most recent that has got a lot of views is the one that we all talk about trolls, and we all talk about people who kind of anybody that has a YouTube channel will have people that will come on there and belittle you and try to take you down a notch, which is fine. But the gentleman who I called Terry, who was in Bedford County, that had the terrifying Bigfoot encounter, and
Oh yeah, on his property, right?
it was his dad's property, and he
Okay.
told me the story, and I talked to another guy the other day, and it's the same thing. There are so many people that don't want to tell you where they live, where they lived, what county, what road, and the only sometimes it's something for as basic as they're going to lose their hunting privileges on private land, or they or my voice is recognizable, or other people listen to your channel as well who I know or buddies of mine, or I don't want to be ridiculed. So it's really, and I'm not a psychologist. I'm just I'm trying to have a little fun with this too, and trying to share the stories because it's fun, and I enjoy it. But there are people that just flat out won't tell you, and it's so funny to read the comments. And sometimes I don't like to read the comments, but the comments are this is a lie, that's a lie, this isn't true, that's true, and it's like, what do you it may sound fantastic, but I don't think it's any more fantastic than Rod Patterson taking a video of a Bigfoot walking through the woods in 1967, and there's video proof right there, and people still say it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, it's a costume. It's proved over and over again it's not a costume. People just won't accept it. So no matter what you say, and I love the other comment. There's no pictures. There's tons of pictures. I know they're not the best quality. Who wants to walk up to an 8-foot, 1,000-pound creature and snap a picture in its face? I posted a little GIF on my Facebook today of a Disney cartoon with Goofy, and he tries to walk up to Bigfoot and take his picture. And focus.
Yeah.
My comment was, I wish we could all be that brave to walk up to Bigfoot and take a picture, but it's just not that easy. And Daniel, you and I go back and forth on Messenger. I'll send you some crazy pic or something, and I'll get your opinion. You give me your, I'll give you mine. You give me yours, and that's probably the most real I get, because you're going to tell me exactly how it is. Unfortunately, I get these 12 and 13-year-olds, and maybe even older than that, make harsh comments on YouTube, and you don't have to believe it, but it's what was told to me, and I think it's as real as seeing Patterson-Gimlin. I think it's the same thing, same quality, not same quality, but same level of accountability. It happened. Whether it happened exactly as they told it, I don't know. But look at Zach chewing on. What are you chewing on? Your fingernail?
Mm-hmm. Keeping my mouth shut.
Oh, okay. You look like you were really getting into it.
Because when you were talking about the 13, 14-year-olds that get on there and troll, he's feeling guilty because
I just have to laugh at it, because it's not upsetting, but it is. It takes you down a notch when you see people make harsh comments, and it's like, I guess that's the whole world of trolling. That's what you do. You get on there and you try to knock people down a peg or two. But I can take it. It's just like, man, you spend all this time putting the story together, and you spend all this time, sharing it, and then somebody comes in there and tries to, take you down, and it's like, come on. I mean, why do that? But
well, I think one thing we have to keep in mind too. A lot of these trolls that get on there to say the comments that they do, like you said, a lot of these are probably non-believing people anyway, because especially with your audience, you have a very large audience. So, and when your YouTube channel, when your videos get shared, they get shared, and people, keep in mind, they're being shared beyond where you share them, from other people. So there's going to be non-believers seeing your stuff. I know some of them see my stuff. I mean, I get I get ugly comments from believers, because they don't like my objective side, so they automatically call me a negative Nelly, or a negative Nelly, or a non-believer too,
Yeah.
But just like me and you share pictures, I know a lot of times me and Nikki do that too. I'll share stuff to her. She'll share videos to me, and there was actually a couple we just recently watched, because she shared them to me, and I was like, wow, really?
Yeah, she sent it to me too. You're talking about the one with the logging camper. Nikki knows which one I'm talking about.
I don't know. I did so many. I was sending all kinds of things lately. Well, Daniel, brought up the one with Sasquatch Master Sasquatch. What's his name?
The Squatch Master, Jeff.
Squatch Master. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jeff
Patterson.
Yeah.
He already had come forward with a video saying he hoaxed all his videos, but when you go back to look for it, it's been deleted, that video.
And so I'm going to tell you exactly why.
Now it's coming back.
Well, yeah, look at all his channels. Look at not his channels, but look at his videos. Big time 1,000 views. He probably rebunked. I forget the proper word to use, but he probably reneged on that video comment because he's looking at all the money he's making.
And they're old videos. If you look at the dates, he's just recycling his most popular videos over again.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that tall grass video of the bobbing up head, he had already confessed that was a fake.
Yeah. Tracy, what YouTube link are you referring to? The one to join in live with us? I don't know.
Tell him if he needs me to send it, I'll send it to him.
Because he wants to share it in the live. He wants it shared in the live chat. Unless he's talking about the video we're talking about. The one of the video I know, the latest one is when he was walking through the woods and it was supposedly a juvenile running back and forth. You recall that? It was it was. I forget what it was. The name of the video was called, but I'm not sure what. But I'll tell you what, Zach, if you go ahead and send the live link to Tracy, if that's what he's asking for. Yeah. But there's. Well, here, Mike. Here's another one. I know. I just reached a picture. I did a screenshot and I sent it to Nikki, and this is the thing that gets me. This is not even a video. It's just a picture. One person posted in a Bigfoot group. It was a picture of a tree line, with some trees in front of it. And, did I share it to you too?
That's the one I told you should get your eyes checked because I see 12 of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's the one I'm talking about. And so, you see what I'm talking about? The people... I want to know what people are seeing, if they really are seeing something in that, Yeah. So
I don't.
It's kind
of. Those are the ones they're saying. Well, you can't see them because they're not letting you see them. They.
Oh, there you go.
That get very, the woo side comes out.
So how do they know who gets to view them? Do they know who's viewing through social media? I mean,
because they're just special.
Yeah, I say it's special, all right. Oh, okay. He wants your YouTube channel. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, give me a second, Tracy. I'll get that to you. All right.
I guess the thing about the trolls, just get back to that for a second, is I think that the problem with the trolls is it's a reflection of the Bigfoot community, and I don't think they're technically part of the Bigfoot community, but they're the ones that stir up all the trouble.
Yeah.
So they look like the Bigfoot community, and then people turn around and say, "Oh, the Bigfoot community doesn't get along; they don't see eye to eye." I don't think that's technically the truth. I think the truth is that these trolls stir up all the trouble, and then it makes it look like it's the Bigfoot community. So I don't know. I don't think there's that many people that are against each other. I think unfortunately, it's people who use activity.
All right, there you guys. If you guys want to subscribe to Blue Ridge Bigfoot, I just shared the link in the live chat. It's a YouTube channel user. It says Mr. Mike in VA1. So, but there's a link right there in the live chat if you guys want to check out Mike Singleton's YouTube channel.
Yeah, I usually use the Blue Ridge Bigfoot Stories at gmail.com. I put that in my description box all the time. When it's that's the one I typically use is Blue Ridge Bigfoot Stories at gmail.com. If you have you want to share.
It's that one told me that. I'll have to write that down because with all the podcasts I'm doing, I'm promoting other channels in the description, so I'll have to write that down.
It's right there. I mean, if you go to one of my stories and you go in the description box, that email address is right there.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Should be there.
Well, plus that the link I shared in the live chat will take them directly to your YouTube channel too. So,
And I have the Pinterest and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook on there too.
oh, okay.
I try to put out a post every day except Saturday and Sunday, and I try to make something relevant to Bigfoot. Excuse me. Like Daniel, you and I talked about that foot on the trail cam. I'll share that on Monday, and like you said, it might be recycled. I've never seen it before, and sometimes I think the good stuff I do think some of the trail cam pictures are obviously some of them aren't high quality, but there are some things on there. Some of them are actually half decent, and when people say, well, there's no pictures of Bigfoot. Well, there are. I mean, again, it is a trail cam, but there are some pictures out there besides a video from 50 years ago. There's not many.
Right.
There is something. And I think there's also more pictures that people don't share because of the ridicule they'll take. I've been speaking to a gentleman this past couple days. I can't get into his story because he hasn't really let me, but he took video of what he saw. It's not a living, breathing Bigfoot, but he has some very interesting footage, and he took it with he doesn't even own a smartphone. He used it to use someone else's video camera, and he's not even not really well versed on using video equipment, but he took a pretty decent couple of minutes, and it's great stuff. And it's just like, he's afraid to come out and talk about it. So we're gonna chat some more, and hopefully he'll decide to share his story. But it's not always immediate. It doesn't always happen right away. Sometimes it takes days, weeks, months before someone comes forward and tells you. So we just stay in touch, and hopefully he comes around, or I keep pestering him. One or the other.
Well, I got it's actually shown very enlarged on my screen when I clicked the link that you shared to me. Let me try something. Let me try this. Hold on. I'm going to save the image and then repost it to Messenger so I can pull it up. So maybe it won't be as large as I'm seeing it here. I just thought, just for the heck of it, to share it to everybody. There we go.
Where's Fred?
I don't know. I sent him the link.
I know Nikki was looking for him.
I know Connie, she messaged me earlier tonight. She said, what time is your show tonight? And I said, which one, me or Daniel's? Because I got Geek Squad all night, and then we got Daniel's tonight. And he said, oh, I didn't know, and I gave her the time. So if they know the times.
That picture. Yep.
Yeah, so now I'm going to screenshot it to share it to everybody here.
Right, I wonder how often some people think that they may be being hoaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't come forward with their story because they think they're not sure if what they saw was real or if somebody was trying to trick them, and they just they don't
look like Daniel walking through tall brush.
my foot ain't that ugly.
I see.
Fascinating.
That's interesting. That's little on my phone here, but that is a neat little picture there.
Yeah. So somebody on Reddit posted it, and that's where I saw it. And the big toe doesn't look too big. I mean, maybe that's the camera, the way the picture was taken, but someone theorized it could be a baby Bigfoot, a juvenile, and then the picture on Reddit, I think, is a little more clear than this. I don't know how that could be possible, but you can see and I'm just guessing here, but you can see the mid tarsal right behind the ball of the foot and before the heel, right there. You can see the mid tarsal break, and it's just the coolest thing to look at. I mean, the toes don't look like a human's toes, and they don't look like a bear.
Right. Well, one thing I could say about this here, and even though there's no backstory to this, there's no information, but I was trying to find a way to zoom this in to make this bit larger because when I looked at it on Reddit, it covered the whole screen. But it does appear to be some hair right here.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Up around here and coming down. Now the foot apparently does not appear to be hairy, but just above it from the ankle up looks like it's got hair coming off of it.
Yeah.
So now, yeah, if this was a bear, this would have been a lot of dark. A bear the hair would have been covered down to the rim. There would have been a clear outline of the edge of the hair to the pad of the foot. Because bears have there's more of like a pad foot,
Right.
So they're very flat looking on the most part. But yeah, I wanted to share this to everybody, because I have seen this on Facebook before, but I just don't remember where. It's been so long.
Same here.
Yeah. So
this is the kind of stuff that just really, really. I just eat this stuff up because I think I still remember as a kid seeing Patterson Gimlin and always wanting to see more. Always wanting to see more evidence. And every time I see something like this, and if it looks legitimate, really captures my attention.
Yeah. Exactly. Let me pull that back up real quick because I want to go to the other picture that was next to it and see if anyone could explain. Was it this way? Yeah. Now, right here, somebody posted this picture in this group, Bigfoot United Worldwide. Picture, you can see a tree line. There, I believe there was snow in the ground. You can see these little sapling trees closer to the camera. Somebody decided to snap this photo. This person here, Albert Amaya,
hello,
posted this picture. Said large clan. So I like to know where the clan is because seeing a tree line with there's some pine, you can see pine, cedar, whatever, and then what I'm looking at here is the entrance into the tree line, like shadows, and so I don't know. That's just me. So,
can anyone hear me?
Wait. Yeah, who do we have with us?
This is Kevin. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, Kevin, you made it in here. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. Glad you can join us.
How good is the audio on this?
I can hear you pretty good. It's a little quiet.
How's that?
Daniel, go to your control room panel and turn his audio up.
All right, let me try that a sec.
How about this?
There we go. Does that sound better to you guys?
Hello, testing one.
Yeah.
Bingo,
not too
bingo.
bad.
I can hear him.
Yep. We got you.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. You guys go ahead, and I'll cue in there when you want me to.
All right, not a problem. Well, we were just discussing. I don't know if you know Mike Singleton. He's Blue Ridge Bigfoot on YouTube. He's got numerous stories that he shares that he's gathered from people over the years, and we were just going over a few things. Mike, Kevin, since we got you on here, I want to welcome you and introduce you. You're Kevin Smith, and you are from, correct me if I'm wrong, Toronto, Canada, right?
Yes, Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Okay, great. So yeah, you're not too far from. We got another gentleman here on the panel with us, Mr. Buck Nye from Ontario.
Okay.
So, tell you what, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I don't know where to start. Just to let you know here, I've got this jury-rigged this microphone. I'm actually using a speaker as a microphone. And, I've got about 4 or 5 different jacks or adapters that I've plugged the speaker into my computer. So the audio, if it cuts out, I apologize, but this is the best I could do. I don't have
not a problem.
So the next week or so, I'm going to invest in a headset so we can do this properly.
Not a problem. Yeah, I mean we're hearing you pretty good. We're hearing you pretty good. Okay. So now, Mike, I know you have a sighting and some other experiences. Now, are you a Bigfoot researcher, or did these experiences and the sighting happen from out of nowhere?
You're talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you said Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 'Cause I just got done talking to Mike. That's why Mike. Names slip up everywhere. So Kevin, I'm
Hey, Zach, I think Daniel's having a senior moment.
sorry.
Just,
He's going senile.
well, basically, I'm semi-retired from law enforcement. I've got 35 plus years in law enforcement and security. I can't go into too much detail, but I up until about I'd say about 10 years ago, I was more of a non-believer than a believer. I'm a very methodical person, um, mainly because of my background, and I'm the kind of person that I've got to see something to believe it. And before my first experience, I was more of a skeptic, but I kept an open mind. And back about well, let me preface that with saying that I've been traveling to the U.S. for the last 12 years every summer. And my first year, I started out in the Adirondacks, and I fell in love. And I've been going every summer, every year since then. So I started in about 2006, and I started out, down in the Lake Placid area, and I'm very frugal when it comes to camping. So I sleep in my van, find as many free campsites as I can, and just try to rough it like that. I was out at Cascade Lakes back about 2010, and it's a day use area. Now it is, I believe it is southeast of Lake Placid. It's about probably a 20-minute drive. Uh, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the area. It's between Keene Valley and Lake Placid, so it's pretty deep in the Adirondacks. Um, but I was there. You're not really supposed to camp there, but I camped there, on and off. It's a day use area. Cascade Lakes are two lakes. There's Upper Cascade Lake and Lower Cascade Lake. I would say they're about probably about 500 to 600 meters long, and probably a couple of hundred meters wide. I don't know what that equates to in feet, but we use a metric system. But anyways, I was camping there, and I woke up probably about twilight. It was probably about 6 o'clock, and I decided to get up and walk over to the edge of the lake from where I was camping. It's probably about 50 or 100 feet, and I wanted to get a picture of the not the sun coming up, but just the twilight, the light coming up over Cascade Mountain, which is a couple thousand feet tall. So it was still pretty dark. Um, so I went over. I shouldn't say dark. It was still pretty dusk. So I went over and saw the mist coming off the lake. It was pretty surreal. And I looked across the lake from where I was standing, and I've since measured it with Google Earth. The ruler tool that you can have in that.
Oh yeah.
And I looked on there and I measured, and the distance was about 100 or so meters away, which is probably 200 feet, give or take. And I looked over, and I saw something black on the opposite shore. Now the opposite shore is a sheer face cliff, or mountain cliff that comes down to the water's edge. But over the years, all the rocks have tumbled down and created a very steep bank that's all covered in trees, where it comes down to the lake edge. I would say it's probably 50 feet from the face of the cliff to the water's edge on that steep embankment with all the trees. Well, I looked over and I saw this black, object. My first thought was, it's a bear or something. I could see it, just kind of moving around. But of course, it was still, still twilight. I would say it's, probably the same as like on a gloomy day when you're having a rain shower, or You got overcast skies. It was really, really dark like that. But I looked over and I thought, I want to get a picture of this. So I turned on my camera on my iPhone and I had it up and I'm trying to use the, you know, how you can zoom in with your fingers on the screen. I was trying to do that. And as I did it, I'm looking through and this bear stood up. And my first thought was, this ain't no bear. Well, actually, my first thought was, this ain't no fucking bear. Use my French. But anyways, this thing stood up, and I just pulled my phone down, and I'm looking across. I'm just, I don't know. I guess the word would be stunned. And just as quick as it turned, like it stood up, turned around, it looked in my direction. I don't know if it saw me or not, but it just stepped into the tree line and it was gone. This all happened maybe in a matter of, I would say, 5 seconds, 6 seconds total. It seemed like an eternity. But my first thought after it had disappeared into the tree line was, okay, this is not a bear. And my first thought was, okay, it's Bigfoot. But I instantly thought after that, okay, it's got to go 2 ways, or one of 2 ways. The other, it can go left or right. And right would have led it to where the face cliff comes right down to the water's edge, so there's really nowhere to go. If it went that way, it would have to go into the lake and swim. So I thought, well, if it's going to come left, it's coming my direction. And I instantly I went for just a dead run. I ran from the edge of the water straight to my van. I literally threw, a frying pan of eggs into the van. I just threw everything in the van and I peeled out of there. I wasn't sticking around. So, needless to say, there was quite a mess to clean up after. But I just hightailed it out of there. I didn't go back for about 2 years. I was just scared shitless. That was my first experience. So, I've got a couple of others I can regale you with. But
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now on that one right there, now you said after you said it, you saw it stand up, and when it went off into the woods, it walked. Did it walk off bipedal on 2 feet?
oh yes. It looked more. I hate to say it like this. It looked a lot like it took a couple steps. Like it looked just like the Gimlin film. Like it was
Nice.
more of a lumbering, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Lumbered into like just effortlessly. Couple steps, it was gone. But it did turn as it stood up. Like it's when I first saw it, it was just like a mound of black. From what I could see. It may have been a dark brown, but it was too far away for me to see. I'm just saying black because that's what it looked like. And when it stood up, its back was to the lake, but it turned and it looked over what I would assume it would be its left shoulder, right in my direction.
So
That lasted about a second, maybe 2 seconds. I don't know if it was staring at me or if it was just looking in my direction. It was too far away to see, but or it was too far away to be sure. And then it just 1, 2, and it was gone right into the tree line.
nice. Now were you the only one there?
I had my dog Peanut with me. He's a little wiener dog, but he was asleep in the van. So,
So it sounds like, or I feel like he had sensed that you may have been there. He may not have been direct. Whatever his business was, whatever he was doing. Now I feel like what it probably knew you were there. It's like it felt like probably, well, I ain't hanging around here. There's someone, or there's a human here, But he probably just checking. Yeah, because what you said, it looked back briefly as it was moving away. Yeah, that's look, just like the Patterson footage. It's like it knew there was it knew there were people there. It was watching, more or less checking to see where they're at, and just going its direction. So that's pretty cool.
it just I don't scare easily. I'm not a wussy. I've seen a lot of things in my career that would make any sane person go over the edge. But pretty graphic stuff. So I've got experience in dealing with stressful situations. So I don't scare easily. But my first thought was, when I say it was coming my direction, I don't mean that I thought it was coming for me, but it
Right.
was my direction, and I wasn't about to stick around to find out, what it was that I saw. So,
Mm.
I don't know if you can go to if one of you can pull up Google Earth on your computer and do an aerial view down to Cascade Lakes. You'll see where it's divided by a basically part of the mountain had given way, hundreds or thousands of years ago, and it created a bit of a land bridge between what I would assume was one lake, and now it is two lakes. Very long. So that's pretty well where I was camping. That's where it happened.
Ooh, Cascade Lakes. I just pulled up a Google picture of it. Just so far, the picture that showed up is really pretty.
Yeah, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the water's crystal clear. It's nice and ice cold. I could go on for hours, extolling the virtues of the Adirondacks, and I love it. I've never seen. There's nothing, in my opinion, in Canada that compares to the Adirondacks.
Mm.
Maybe the Rocky Mountains, but there's nothing, in my experience that compares with the Adirondacks.
Kevin, are you able to see the screen that I got pulled up?
Yeah, can you zoom out?
Hold on, let it come into focus. I might have gone too far. All right, I see Elk Lake. Is there any specific area you want me to go to?
No, I think you're in the wrong state. Go to New York. Just type in Cascade Lakes, New York State, NYS.
All right, Cascade Lakes, Bridgewater, New York, or just.
You just had it there. No, before that menu popped back up like it was long. That pull down menu. I saw Cascade Lakes and it said Keene.
It said what?
Go back a little more.
Keene, I see it.
Yeah, it's right there. Click on that.
All right.
Okay, there you go. You see where that red dot, that red pin is there?
Oh, okay. Cascade Falls, and then I see Cascade Lake on the other side.
Okay. Now where that was, if you...
Yeah, I don't know why it moved on its own.
Can you move your cursor back to where you just had it a second ago? Okay, yeah, you see that. Move it over to the A, or no, the F. Move it to the F in Cascade Falls. No. No.
Wait, hold on.
No, don't move the whole picture to the left.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, see your cursor, your cursor there, or your arrow? Move it
Yeah.
Move it over to the F in Cascade Falls.
Oh, okay, over here.
Yes. Right above that, you'll see like a half moon gravel area there. That's
okay.
where I was camping. Now, south of the F, right down, right there. I was over to the left of that. You'll see a pine tree right along the edge.
All right. You mind if I zoom in on this one?
Yeah, zoom right in.
See how far.
Not too much.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
No, not too much. Come out just a bit. Okay. Can you? Yep. Keep going. You're gonna have to zoom out just a bit.
Oh, okay.
So you can see the other side of the lake.
Like zoom out more.
One more, and then.
Oops.
No,
it took me too far. Okay.
No. So yeah, move your cursor, or I keep calling it cursor. Your mouse arrow. Move it over to the left and up just a bit. You'll see a straight line of the break wall there, and you'll see a tree that's kind of over the water just a bit. Keep going up to the left. Keep going up to the left. Right there.
Yeah. Oh, I see what. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
I was standing right there, and if you look directly south, there's a cove, and you see where the G in Google is.
Oh, right in here.
Right there. Yep, that's where it was.
Wow.
That's where it was.
That's pretty cool. So.
Now I measured that, and it's about 100 or 100 and a bit meters. I'm pretty sure. Now it looks like it's quite, a ways away, but it's
Yeah.
that's where it was. And of course, you're looking down at these trees on the right-hand side of your screen there. That's pretty well a sheer cliff, and you can see where the waterfall and all the gravel has, or the rockfall has created that land bridge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now I want to zoom out a little bit more. Well, actually, no, better. I want to. Now look at this. Look how pretty dense looking forest right here too.
Oh yeah. The only way to get to Cascade up to the top of that is to the far left. You have to follow the highway down. You'll probably have to zoom out. Okay. The only way to get to it is the Cascade Mountain Trailhead, which you can see that the trail, it comes right down to
Oh,
the bottom of the
all
screen,
right.
all the way up and around. It's one of the more challenging trails to get to the top of that mountain.
Man.
I'm not an active person, so you know.
Wow. Yeah, you can see this. Yeah, this is top of a ridge line right here.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty impressive right there. Yeah.
So you can understand my fear. It was either going to go to the other side of the lake, along the face of that mountain, but it basically, the water joins up with the face of the cliff or the mountain, and there's nothing for it to walk on except the water. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Bigfoots walk on water, but you get my point.
Right. Huh. Nikki, do you know how far? I can't remember where Ryan Reedon lives. I know Ryan Reedon lives in upstate New York, somewhere in the western part of New
Yeah,
York. Do you,
he lives all the way up in wait a minute.
Lake?
Dunkirk. Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
He
Oh,
lives
okay.
all the way, he's like right on the, what is it, the Michigan or whatever that is, Erie. I don't know what lake that is.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta look it up.
What's that
Yeah,
area where
he's
the
all the way.
what's the name of the area where the police officer had the encounter back in
Whitehall.
19 Whitehall? Yeah, the other police officer back in 1976.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I know Bill Braun quite well.
Yeah. I spoke to his wife where they were going to come down to my event last year, but they were unable to make it. I've been meaning to get in contact with them because they were talking about wanting to come down this year for my annual event that I have. So yeah, I need to get in touch with them. Because I spoke to both of them. I spoke to him on the phone one time, and
Yeah,
yeah, they're
Bill's pushing. Sorry to interrupt. Bill's pushing 80, and I can't go into detail, but his health is his core health is fine, but I don't want to, I don't want to.
right.
He has problems with his eyesight now, so I don't want to go into too much detail of
That's
his privacy. Obviously, I don't want to.
oh yeah, that's totally understandable. Yeah, yeah. Both him and his wife seem like really nice people.
Oh,
So
they are. They are. I met him for the first time about 4 years ago, 3 years ago maybe, and he invited me in. He showed me around. He's a retired archaeologist, so some of the items that he showed me, I just blown away.
wow,
He's got quite a collection. He's also got about a dozen or so Bigfoot casts, footprints, and I had a chance to look at those, and it's pretty impressive.
nice.
It's very generous, very very warm and welcoming type of person, both him and his wife.
Mm. Now, now your other experiences have they happened in you because you come down this way every summer? Your other experiences have they happened around this general area?
Yes, well, not that general area. I had another experience down towards Old Forge. If you want to, I don't know if you can pull it up on the screen there. Lime Kiln Lake or Moose River Plains. It was actually in the Moose River Plains, which was or is a huge area, primitive campsites. It's all free. There's one, I think the east gate is the Cedar Rapids near Indian Lake. and the I think the west entrance or northwest entrance is right near Limekiln Lake.
All right. Well, what's the name of it again?
Moose River Plains. It's literally hundreds, if not a couple thousand square kilometers.
Okay, Moose River Plains. Is it Wild Forest, New York?
Yes.
All right, there we go. All right, give me a second. I got that pulling up right now.
There you go. Want to zoom in just a bit.
No, did I zoom in too much?
You can zoom in a bit more. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but you're not really going to see anything in the way of roads or anything because of the dense forest.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to zoom out, yeah, zoom out and see if you can.
Whoops, wrong way.
Yeah, a little more. A little more. Sorry. Okay, you've got Seventh Lake there, and I believe to the right of that, where you see the number 28 on the screen. I
Yeah.
don't know for sure, but basically, no, the other one to the right. Yeah. From there over to your far right, you may have to move the map over a bit. Move it to the left, like move the, yeah. See if you can find Indian Lake.
Indian Lake.
It'll be on the far right. You may have to zoom out.
Oh, okay.
You may have to zoom out just a bit more. You may have to zoom out even more. I'm just telling you, that's how big this place is.
Oh, there it is, way over here.
Indian Lake. Okay, so if you see Indian Lake, you see that road that goes and it's just a dead end to the left there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right there.
That's the beginning of the Cedar Rapids entrance.
Hmm.
So if you want to move the map to the right, okay, that meanders over through and over to where the words, you'll actually see that red bubble by Moose River Plains, kind of meanders
Right.
there. So if you want to, if you look up at the top of your tools in your Google Earth there, top left, I believe, I can't see it, but if you look in the top left, you'll see something that says tools. No, not Google Maps. It'll be in Google.
Oh, hold on.
Go to Google.
Tools. Which one do you want me to look? I think they're
No, it's top left.
top left. Oh, maybe it's this cursor right here. No, that's collapse.
Yeah, collapse that.
I,
Yeah, I don't know where it is, but basically the tools has a ruler in it, and you'll be
oh, okay. I know what you're talking about, but
on mine. It's at the top left.
yeah.
See if I can start mine here. Just bear with me a sec. Sorry if this is taking too long, guys.
No, you're fine. I see down on the bottom it's actually showing what 2 miles looks like, but it's on a bar. I can't. It's not allow me to click.
Are you using Google Earth Pro, or Google Earth?
Just regular Google Earth. Oops.
Yeah. Where it
All right,
says,
hold on.
on mine,
I don't know.
I'm using Google Earth Pro, and where mine says File, Edit, View, the very top left-hand side. There's the drop-down menus. It says File, Edit, View, Tools, Add, and Help. You go to Tools, click on Ruler.
Location overview. All right, yeah. Fortunately, it's not. Oh, wait a minute. Let me scroll down. Maybe I'll see something that says tools.
No.
Nah, I'm not seeing nothing like that.
It's quite a vast area, but I'll get to my experience there. But basically, I found out about this place in the Moose River Plains. I went to the right beside or close to the entrance is the Limekiln Lake State Park, and and it's a paid campground. And I just went in there and I asked, I said that I'd heard about free camping, and they said, "Oh, you're talking about the Limekiln Lake entrance," and they told me how to get to it. So basically, you drive past that state park campground, and it's on the left-hand side. You go down a dirt road. There's gates. You've got to sign in at the main billboard there. There's a binder. You have to sign in how many people are in your party, roughly where you're going, and how long you're staying. And when you leave, you have to leave by the same entrance, and you have to sign out. And if you don't sign in or you don't sign out, I guess it's a pretty hefty fine.
Mm.
You need to know how many people are in there, for safety reasons in case of forest fires or missing people. So, anyways, so I drove into into the Moose River Plains, and where the Moose River basically goes through. Um, I was past there probably, I don't know, a couple of miles, and there's primitive campsites off to the right and left. And I pulled into one of the campsites. I don't remember the numbers. And basically, at each campsite, there's room for probably a couple of vehicles. There's a primitive fire pit. There's an outhouse and picnic tables. And you basically, that's it. There's no electricity or running water. So I pulled in there. It was probably mid-afternoon, and as soon as I got out of my vehicle, I just felt really uneasy. Uh, it was dead quiet, and when I say dead quiet, you could hear a pin drop. There was
Yeah.
no breeze. There were no birds chirping. There were no bugs humming or rattling. It was like literally dead quiet, and I'd never experienced that before in my life. Being out in
Well,
the
yeah, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about. I would, I would feel the same way, like the uneasiness.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm out there by myself, even there's times I'll take my sidearm. I don't always take my sidearm out there, but I mean, there's been numerous times I felt uneasy in certain places, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
well, Bigfoot was the furthest thing from my mind.
Right.
That was not my first thought. I just felt really, really uneasy, and I had actually, it wasn't that I was in that kind of a mood before I got into my vehicle. I mean, I was really happy to be camping. That was one of the first. That was my first day there. I drove down through Gananoque, down through Watertown, and then to the Adirondacks, and I ended up there in the afternoon. So yeah, I was really happy to go camping. Looking forward to 2 to 3 weeks in the Adirondacks, and I was just really happy to be there. And then of course I get under and it's absolutely dead silent. It didn't seem right to me. I'd never experienced that. So, anyways, I got my gear out. Cooked myself my dinner. Got my pup his dinner as well. Got settled down, and I went looking for deadfall for a fire for a campfire, and I got enough deadfall and broke it up and started a fire probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock when it started getting dark. And my pup was in the van asleep on the seat. That's one of his favorite pastimes, sleep. Uh, but anyway, I'm sitting there around the campfire, and this rock comes sailing through the air and lands. It barely misses my van and lands, probably about 10, 20 feet away from me. And I'm like, what, again, excuse my French, but I'm like, what the fuck was that? I just, again, it caught me off guard. And when you have something happen that catches you off guard, that's your mind tries to make sense of it. So of course, my first thought was, it fell. I don't know why I thought this because there's no mountains or cliffs around. But my first thought was, well, maybe it fell off the edge of a hill or something. I don't know why I thought that, but that was my first thought. But behind where my campsite was, the direction it came from, it goes. There's like maybe 50 or 60 feet of forest floor, and then it kind of goes down into a ravine. And I don't know. I wasn't able to make any sense of it. And I sat there trying to make sense of what was going on. and then I heard some rustling in the bushes, probably, I don't know, 30, 40 feet away. And it seemed very faint. And I thought, well, there's an animal in there. And, I thought, well, maybe it's a bear or, a deer or something like that. But after I got sitting there thinking about it, the size of the rock was probably about the size of I don't know if you guys have softball in the States.
Oh yeah.
Baseball and softball. The softballs are bigger than regulation baseball. Well,
Right.
This thing was a little bigger than a softball.
Wow.
So they're thinking about it. Over about 5 or 10 minutes, the rustling stopped after the rock was thrown. It stopped after that, and then it would happen about every 5 or 10 minutes, but around the campsite, but not in the same area. It'd be distant, then it'd be close. 5 or 10 minutes later, it'd be distant, and it just seemed like, I don't know, like maybe somebody was taking some branches or trees and rustling them. You know what I mean? Like you could hear like a swishing sound.
Oh yeah.
And I've got to add too that there was nobody else around in the campsites, because the campsites are probably a good 500-600 feet apart. And I went past my campsite when I drove in. I went up probably a good 2 miles and then came back to this one site because it seemed the most suitable. And when I came in, there was nobody there. And when I drove up and came back, there was nobody there. So I highly doubt there was anybody there in person doing that. I'm not saying that's not a possibility, but I look at it logically and say, why would somebody want to do that?
Exactly.
What's the purpose? What's the advantage, of going through the forest in the middle of the night or the middle of the evening to throw a rock, out to a campsite, trying to scare someone? It just doesn't make sense to me. So, anyways, I'm sitting there around the fire, and I heard, the rustling. And the more I thought about it, I thought, there's no way a deer can throw a rock. And, bears that I know of don't throw rocks.
Right.
And I mean, this thing came sailing through the air. I mean, it was probably, I don't know, twice the height of my van. And I have a Dodge Caravan, a newer one. So it was probably twice that height. My van's, I think my parking garage here in the city is 7'1" and it comes in under that. So I'm gonna guesstimate and say this rock was about 10 to 15 feet in the air at its highest arc. So that, what I mean, it looked like it came a fair distance.
Now, when before it landed, was your attention drawn to the sound of it coming through the trees?
I heard. I'm trying to think of the right way to put it into words. I guess I heard it hit some trees or bushes as it came through.
Right.
Not really a cracking sound, but like a smack as it was hitting the branches coming through. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the reason I ask you that is because one of the areas, it's not one of my main research areas, but it's one of the investigations I've been, one of my recent ones. The lady who took me to the spot, she was showing me where her husband had found some interesting things and some experience there. Well, she was sharing a story that took place in another location where her and her friends, they do a lot of horseback riding. And they had a large rock thrown at them, but they heard it coming before it came to them because it landed right behind one of the other girls on the horse. And the way she described it, it's like it had to been coming from a good long distance because they were hearing the sound of something up high coming through the trees. Like you could hear it brushing up against everything that it was hitting, flying through the air, through the trees. And then here comes that rock. It didn't. Thank God it didn't hit nobody. She said, but it landed real close. It landed right behind one of the horses, slightly startling it when it hit and landed. So that's why I asked, because of the way, yeah, she described what the sound of that when they were on horseback on some trail. So, and actually that took place in West Virginia. Actually, that particular incident. But so
well, I can tell you if it had hit my van, I'd have been pretty fucking pissed off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been a happy camper, so to speak. Forgive the pun, but luckily I missed my van. that's one of the other thoughts I had. I'm like, if that had hit the van, I would have been really upset.
Mm.
Not that my van at the time was much to write home about, but still.
Did any part of you get the urge to want to just grab your sidearm and just march through the woods and like, who the heck's out here? What's out here?
Well, I don't have a sidearm. I'm sure our gun laws here in Canada are quite strict.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Plus, coming into the United States from a different area, yeah, that's totally understandable. Didn't think about that at first.
I ever since then I carry a very large machete with me, a Gerber machete. And,
Right.
it's probably a good, I don't know, 20 inches long. I mean, I don't know what damage I could do with it, but I keep that with me when I'm camping now, just wherever I am, just as for peace of mind. But I after that happened, this went on for probably about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and I decided to head to bed. And so I sleep in the van, so I've got a nice double-sized foam mattress with foam toppers. No, I sleep like a baby. But anyway, I crawled into bed, and I put the fire out, crawled into bed, and I slept pretty well most of the night. Um, I was woken up, or I woke up. I don't know what time it was. It was still pretty dark out, and I thought I heard something in and around the campsite. Like I don't leave food out. I don't leave anything, dirty dishes. Everything goes back in the van. Even if I just place it, like the cooler will get sit on the front seat along
Right.
with the utensils, just because I don't want if there are any bears or animals, I don't want to be woken up in the middle of the night by clanging pots and pans and something making a mess. So anyways,
Yeah.
that was all put away, and I thought I could hear. I thought I heard something, just out and about around the van, and I was in a bit of a lucid sleep, so I don't know if it was like if I was dreaming or they said I was kind of half awake, half asleep. So I thought I heard something outside, but I really can't say whether it was real or whether I was, you know, just kind of dream. No, I shouldn't say dreaming, but you know what I mean. You wake up, you think you hear something.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways. But the next day, I hightailed it out of there, and I haven't been back to the Moose River Plains since.
Now, would you go back to those kind of areas if you had, other people with you, or?
Well, actually, I've been back to Cascade Lakes. I go back every year. I didn't go back for 2 years after that initial encounter. But the year that I did go back with my friend Mitch, we were camping there, and we thought we heard some rustling around in the tree line where the waterfall comes down, which would be to the, I guess, the south of where we were. We thought we heard some rummaging around in the forest and some breaking of twigs and that. But that could have been anything. There was nobody else there but us. It was about 10 or 10:30 at night. We were just getting ready to hit the hay, and we thought we heard something, but just as quick as it started, it stopped. But it was whatever it was pretty loud. So that was the only thing that happened.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, being by yourself and everything, that can be quite the. I'm trying to find the right word to use.
Unnerving.
Yeah, there you go. And you probably had a little bit of adrenaline running, not knowing just what could be out there. It just messing with you.
Well, I've been I'm not an outdoorsman, so to speak, but I've been camping for many, many years since I was knee high to a grasshopper with my family. We've always camped. We've had a trailer, but I've always been in the outdoors. And
Right.
I don't go deep into the wilderness, but I know the basics. And
Yeah.
I don't, as I said, I don't get worked up over a lot of things. And again, I'm not saying that my experience at Moose River Plains was a Bigfoot. I don't know what it was. You know, other people may say, it was a Bigfoot that was interdimensional, popping in, and then he disappeared because he didn't want you to see him. I don't go for that sort of thing.
Right. I don't either.
I want to be careful how I say this. if that's what somebody wants to believe, all the more power to them. It just has no place in my reality.
Right.
And I'm the kind of person that I look at things in a physical way until I see it or experience it. I still keep an open mind, but until I see it or experience it, you know, I really got to try to think of the right word to say.
Oh yeah. I mean, what you're saying is pretty well said. I know I'm hearing what you say very clearly, and it makes a lot of sense, and I agree. I know. I believe it's safe to say the rest of us on the panel here, too, I believe would agree with you too. I mean, we're all pretty open-minded. You know. I'm pretty objective on a lot of things myself. Again, it's certain things need to be seen to be believed. So, but I mean, we're all Bigfoot believers and knowers. But yeah, it's just a lot of us look at things in a very objective, you know, sense. So yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. So
Well, if I might add, there is, I don't know if anybody here on the panel has heard of a William Jevning.
oh yeah, yep.
He is actually, from what I've understood, I've never met the gentleman. From what I've heard through the grapevine, he is actually doing some. There's a research project that he's got going on, which I would say is to the west of the Moose River Plains, and I think it's probably. I'm just guessing. I think 20, 30 miles west of there. There seems to be a hotbed of activity in that area attributed to Sasquatch or Bigfoot. So
Mm.
there's also I just pulled it up on my website or on my browser here. Daniel, do you want me to send you the cut and paste the link?
Yeah,
Your,
yeah. Send it to my messenger, and that way I can pull it up directly from there.
okay, just give me a sec here. I gotta pull up Facebook. There we go. And it's actually a sighting which is near a place called Paul Smith's, which is actually a place, which happened, I believe, 4 years ago. Yeah, I just posted it to your messenger there.
All right, I got to pull them up right now.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting. And the guy that saw this was from what I remember of the article, the witness is actually a guide, and has been doing this for quite a long time. And he had a cancellation on a trip, so he decided to go fishing on his own. And as he was driving down the highway through Paul Smith's, which is a little hamlet or village, this Bigfoot walked out across the road in front of him. It's all in the story there, but it's quite interesting. And this guy's a guide.
Hold on one second. There's something I want to double check here real quick.
While we're waiting there, is there anybody on the panel that has anything to add?
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask them while I'm actually looking something up right now. But anybody on the channel, the panel, have a question for Kevin?
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin. I was just wondering, your first story there initially. You had said this thing you thought maybe it was a bear at first.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if I could get in your head for a second, and if you could tell us like what made you think at first that it was a bear. Obviously it was crouched down because you said it stood up, eh?
Right. It just seemed to be. It wasn't walking around like on all fours. It was stationary,
Mm-hmm.
but it seemed pretty big to be, like a raccoon or, a horse or well, I shouldn't say a horse, but you know what I mean? It seemed pretty big, but of course at that distance, it seemed bigger than it should have been.
Right,
Or,
right.
you know,
Like, were you looking? You're thinking you're seeing an animal for sure of some kind, right?
yes, yes.
And I'm just wondering, like, are you seeing fur, hair at that distance, or just the shape, more or less, or?
I'm seeing a shape and I'm seeing, black.
Yeah.
It was The sun was coming up. The sun comes up on the other side of the Cascade Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So when the sun comes up, you don't see it as soon as it comes up over the horizon. It's got to come up over those mountains. So you're in the shadow of those. On Cascade Lakes is on the north side. So, you've got, 2,000 or 3,000 feet or however tall it is before that sun gets up over the top of those mountains. So it's still pretty dark.
Dark down in there, yeah.
Even at twilight, it's still pretty dark. Now, I don't mean as in it's dark as in the middle of the night.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. So it was moving a little bit when it was down low. You caught the movement. Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, I was wondering that because I had an experience similar to yours, a lot farther away. Same thing, twilight, just barely sun coming up, and it was clear across the river down here where I am. And initially, it was the strangest thing. This thing was walking along parallel in the water on the far shore from me. And when I saw it, it was upright walking. Same thing, all black. But I'm so far away, and being that time of the morning where the sun wasn't up yet, it was just barely. You just got that color in the sky, just a little bit. And I saw this thing moving, and my wife Heather was with me at the time. And I actually stopped and I said to her, Heather, look, there's a person over there. And then the more my mind started working, I was thinking, that's not really making any sense for me to be seeing that tall of a person from that far away, being all black. And then it just walked up into the long grass and cattails, and that was gone. The neat thing is that a couple of times when it turned sideways, it like blended in, and I'm like a mile and a half away seeing this myself, and it was like blending in a little bit. And it was only when it would have its front facing me or the back that I could see it, and see that it was walking. And that's. Initially, you always think that when you're seeing something. I was the same way. I thought it was a person I saw at first, and same thing for you. You're thinking it's a bear until it stands up. And I was, but that's very neat how we both had a similar situation like that right at that time of day on water. Might be something for everybody else out there to keep in mind. Head on out to them lakes right at dawn, or just before.
I just wanted to let you know there. I do have experience with bears. About 30 years ago, I date myself here, but I'm getting up there in years myself. But about 25, 30 years ago, I started out hunting. And
okay.
A friend invited me to go to a hunting camp, which was north of where I was living at the time, Travel. And meters of some
yeah, we got a little bit of background noise there somewhere.
It's Daniel.
It's Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Hi, Dig. Anyways, I went to this hunting camp, and I had a 303, a Lee Enfield 303 rifle.
Okay.
We went out on the ATVs. Now, we were hunting doe, but it was also bear season too. And I had my two. I don't know how you do it down the States. We have to buy tags.
Yeah. I'm actually not too far from you. I'm down here in Dunnville, Ontario.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm not too far from you, a couple hours away.
You know where Marmora, Ontario is? Sterling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was north of Marmora, so we're
okay.
We're probably a good 20, 30 miles north of there, kilometers I should say. But anyways, I was out with the crowd. There's probably half a dozen of us, and I went up along this ridge on the other side of the beaver dam. And I saw this what I thought was a rather large bear, and it came down over the top of this ridge, came down to where this beaver dam was, and I'm on the other side of the marsh, and I had a scope on my rifle, and I sighted it up, and I got it right in the sweet spot, one shot. I shot twice, but it was it went down. It didn't suffer, and when it was actually going back up the embankment or up the hill, and when I shot it, it rolled back down.
Oh yeah.
So the other guys heard it. They came over, and when I got over there, my heart sunk because it was a very young juvenile. Because I'm sure you may know, or you understand what I'm saying. When you see something at a distance,
Yep.
Hard to judge the size. To me, it looked large.
Hmm.
But that was the first bear that I'd seen up that close, other than in zoos. So when we got over there, the guys were surprised that I got it in one shot, because there was no other bullet holes in it. But I got it right. It pretty well died instantly. I got it right behind the front shoulder. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
call it
Right in the vitals there. Eh?
Yeah. So I don't sound like I'm bragging, but I'm an expert shot. I got my military training and police training in that. So
Good.
anyways,
Yeah. Yeah.
long story short, I was really disappointed. I felt really, really bad. And what made it worse was the mother was at the top of the ridge with
Oh yeah.
the juvenile. So this was one of the
Mm.
cubs. So they
I
think,
know sometimes it can be tricky. I know a guy that did that once with a doe too, and just the lighting and stuff, and it looked a little bigger. It can happen. It can happen.
so. Anyways, it was a legal kill. I mean, I had my tag in that. I still felt pretty bad about it, and believe it or not, I didn't. I gave up hunting after that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just it wasn't that one thing that it wasn't the one thing that stopped me. It was just, I don't know, just hunting's not for me.
Over time, some people kind of grow out of it. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I just want to say my battery is running a little low. So if something happens, I disappear, guys. I just want to let you know that my battery is low. And if something happens, I do disappear. Kevin, I just wanted to say one thing for you there. I heard you mention, your machete for protection, and I do that too. But you get yourself into a few of them areas. You're a little old school like I am, but really these days, get yourself a good can of bear mace, and you'll feel a whole lot safer, because that'll do more for you than a machete will. For anybody listening at all out there, when you're camping out there at night, especially alone, guys, if you're by yourself, get yourself a can of bear spray. And that may save your life from a bear or a squatch if something decided to charge at you.
Well, with that being said, I was just curious because my own father has told me that something like that too. But what about? I know some people like to use those loud horns, like a
Yeah, but if you were in
foghorn.
the middle of being charged by something that was going to attack you,
Oh yeah,
you may startle it with a horn, but the bear spray will work.
right.
That's almost a guarantee. If that don't work, yeah, you're in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's some good advice.
Yeah. Then go ahead and start stabbing him, I guess. Do whatever you can, fight like hell. But yeah, bear spray is really your best bet if you're by yourself and you're feeling, maybe threatened by something. I've got a few spots that I don't like to go in alone, and if I do, it's going to be with a 12 gauge or bear spray, just because I've got some real creepy spots to go into at night, and I'm always alone. It's like that, there are spots in this world that for some reason they're a lot scarier than others at night. I'm sure anybody who's out there a lot at night alone, they probably know that when you get into some of those real back places, I don't know, there's just something about them. They're scary.
Is anybody here familiar with the Old Forge Bigfoot video that those teenagers filmed a couple years back, or 4 or 5 years ago?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Old Forge is pretty well about a half-hour drive from Moose River Plains.
The video, I know there was a couple different video films that I want to recall that were young kids that filmed something.
This one, I've looked at the footage. I think MK Davis did it might not have been him. Somebody did an enhancement of it, and it literally lasts a second or two. But to me, it looks like an ape walking or kind of lumbering between two trees, because you can tell by the top of the head that it's really conical.
Do you know the name of the video or the?
I've been doing a lot of talking here tonight. I don't want to take time from anybody else. So, let's see here. I'm just going to bring up YouTube.
Is this the family that pulls up and videos the Bigfoot within the wood line and turns and walks away?
No, this is type
Oh, I think I remember that one. Yeah.
Bigfoot sighting Adirondack. That's the name of the video. And they're looking up a hill.
Yeah.
It's only
Yeah.
about 6
Yeah.
seconds long, the whole video. But
That one was a good size on that video too. I remember. He was pretty big.
yeah, and one of them,
Yeah.
one of them, you can hear the one kid say, "That's a bear," and the other guy who's filming says, "That's not a bear," you know.
Yeah. It stood up and went up the hill away from him, eh? And
Yeah.
it was a good. That video was not too bad.
That's the Marble
Yeah.
Mountain footage.
What's that?
I thought that you're referring to the Marble Mountain footage.
No, a different one. I think, Zach.
No, this is it's a small mountainside near Old Forge, New York.
Yeah.
Go to
Yeah.
YouTube and type in. It basically, the title of the video is "Bigfoot sighting Adirondacks."
Yeah. It was some high school kids or something, eh? They were out
Yeah,
doing something with their kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the one Zach was thinking of. Was the one where he walked down the mountain, right?
Yeah, that's the Marble Mountain.
Yeah. That was a neat video too. That one there. That really was. A little bit suspicious, but still good video. Yeah.
The one that I do find. Are you guys familiar with? Is it Paranormal?
Phil Paulings.
I don't know his name, but he does the he does the reviews. Most of the reviews that he does of Bigfoot videos, I've only seen about a half a dozen or so, but they seem to be, it's kind of humorous.
Yeah.
The way he calls them a hoax.
Yeah, that's Phil.
Yeah, that's Phil. He's an
He's
ex-law
talking about
enforcement
Phil.
too. Yeah.
He did the baby Bigfoot with the mother going behind from the right to the left from the rock,
Yep.
and bends down behind the rock, and then picks up, and it looks like a puppet. And when he said he reviewed the video before, and he said my impression of the video is, and then you hear he speeds it up, and you see the Bigfoot going from right to left, and he goes, woo!
Yeah, he's awesome, Phil. He's the best.
That kind of dry humor is that really I really like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know who Bigfoot Tony is. He's a kind of like a thinker thunker. He likes to debunk these videos.
He said
Oh,
thinker
yeah.
thunker. You're not allowed to say that.
They try, or Bigfoot Tony, I'll say, tried or attempted to debunk this, and they said it was another boy who was wearing something in the back of his head that made him look the way he did.
Now, we talking about the video that I'm playing right now?
Yeah, that's the one.
I got to slow down a little bit. If I have to, I'll slow it down even more. But
yeah,
once the subject comes out, I'll try to pause it.
Yeah, the reaction of the kids is pretty genuine.
Yeah.
It's not rehearsed at all. And I'll tell you, I know we've all probably seen a lot of videos, but I've seen, I watched quite a few videos myself since I've become interested in this topic. Somebody making perverted noises in the microphone or something?
Oh, just me playing with my dog. Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry. I can hear
Now,
The
right
dogs are
here,
still... Oh, there you go. The dogs are still barking me or bugging me to take them out tonight. We're heading out.
now
Sorry about
right
that, you
here,
guys.
I got this part, this frame paused right here at the 13-second mark.
That
And
is so fake. I'm sorry. That is freaking fake. Look at that head on there. That is that one suit that everybody uses all the time.
all right, I'm gonna click play real quick
at
and
the
see if I can get
face.
it.
I'd have to see that up a little closer right now. It's so small. I seen that years ago myself too. I can't remember, but I do remember that footage.
Well, respectfully, I disagree. I think it's legitimate because you got to look at the circumstances around how this was filmed. I've watched this video. I've listened to the kids. I watched the interviews of the news when they interviewed these kids on the TV or from the clips, and I'm pretty good at my gut is pretty good at picking out liars and cheats and hoaxers, and they seem very legitimate, very humbled. There was, I believe, one of the kids did not want to go on camera, one or two of them, So, they were out, from what I understand, and I've been through Old Forge, and I've talked to a couple of the locals in the last couple of years about this, and some of them know the kids, and the kids were pretty scared after this encounter, and a lot of them, didn't want to go back out into the wilderness after this. They were pretty shaken up. So I just got to add my 2 cents, respectfully.
This is exactly what's great is about doing a podcast like this, Daniel, and is everybody can agree or disagree or whatever, and there doesn't have to be any. Kevin has his absolute right to give his opinion, and
absolutely.
and this is what's nice is when people can all look at it and go, okay, that's your opinion, my opinion's this, and it could very well be that it's absolutely real. I mean, we're looking at a grainy picture, so my eyes can only work so well. But I respect his opinion.
Out of this video here, having this pause, even with the trees, I'm going by the trees and the landscape. This is the clearest I could get it paused at. We're showing the image, but so on the live chat,
I have no doubt that the kids saw it, though. I think it's just a dude up there that was, fooling around with the kids. The kids probably saw exactly that and were scared
it could have
to
been
death.
hoaxed. Yeah.
They are hoaxed themselves, but that's a suit, and you can see how baggy that suit is on.
I'd have to watch this video up closer on something
is.
bigger to see myself. I'll have to do that later. I'm curious now. It's like me though, with the Paul Freeman footage. I always wondered if he wasn't hoaxed, and just quite simply the same thing. Respectfully, I don't want to fight with nobody, and if that was real footage, it was real. I'll give him that if it was. But I always ask the question: why did it step out into the open? Well, it didn't have to.
In the live chat, I'm looking down at the live chat. It says Michael Kosh says same suit Tim Wells used in elk hunting videotape.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm not familiar with that one.
You was talking about the Freeman footage that ring the bell, and Daniel, you might remember this. I think it was either it was the Squatch Watchers or it was Baltimore that pointed it out. The difference with because I remember we were talking about it, it was a comparison between Patty and Freeman that MK Davis did. Baltimore pointed out the difference how between Patty and the Freeman one was Freeman's Squatch was looking at the ground and Patty was just walking away.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, and it turned its head real quick, real side. It didn't do the lean over look. It just turned its head like a human. It didn't do the lean over, but it didn't have to step out into the open. It had cover behind it. It was already hidden. Why did it step right out through perfect camera shot? Why? Like, not that it maybe knew a camera was there, but it knew a person was there and it stepped out and looked at him. That makes no sense to me. A creature that wants to stay hidden ain't going to do that.
Exactly. You look at anything like, for example, white-tailed deer. You walk up on them, they're going to stand there and they're going to look at you for a second, then they're going to turn around and come back the way they did.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, with that being said, what you said right there makes a lot of sense. However, I'm just thinking outside the box. What if, say, one of us has a sighting and there's something behind a bush, but you think it would stay there and try to stay hidden, but what if we have that same incident really happen to us, where it decides to want to come out in the open? Now, because I'm not saying, because what you're saying makes a lot of sense, but what if that really did happen, though?
That's possible, yeah. And like I said, I'm not trying to attack Paul Freeman or nothing like that.
Oh yeah, right.
I wondered if he wasn't maybe hoaxed himself, eh?
Right.
Because that footage to me, I always just kind of, it just didn't feel right. Like Kevin said, you kind of get a gut instinct, eh? And that one just never felt right. It just turned its head wrong. It stepped out in the open when it really didn't have to stay hidden. You would think with Bigfoot, if they're going to step out in the open a lot more often, we'd have had this problem solved a long time ago. But it is possible. Anything is. Yeah, it's interesting though. Yeah. So it's good to have these talks.
I'm looking
you remember which one the Tim Wells one is, right, Daniel?
Tim Wells.
Tim Wells was the one with those two guys hunting. There's actually three guys, and they're seeing this thing going back and forth. And remember, we were on Real or Not Real with Shane, and we blew it up, and you could see the skeleton face in his mask. The guy was wearing a hood, ended up being a hoodie with a skeleton face. That's what reminds me of it, and that's, I guess, what Michael was saying. The face is not right if you blow it up.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can come across that. I just typed in Hunter see Bigfoot, and
Tim Wells is a bow hunter. Is that right?
Yeah, they were hunters out there. You can Google it too. It's on there.
All right,
but it was just a guy. It ended up being a guy in a hoodie with like a skeleton mask on his face.
This right here, Bigfoot sighting in high def. It says Tim Wells bow hunter.
Yeah.
All right, hold on one second.
I'm in here for a sec. I might be opening a can of worms here, but are you familiar? Is anybody familiar with timber giant Bigfoot?
Yeah, yep. I know him.
Okay.
Big Red.
I'm gonna buy it anyway. I just wanted to know if anybody knew him or knows of him.
I haven't seen him around for a long time.
I know Jim hasn't put anything out lately.
Yeah, he kind of did that.
He hasn't
wood
put
knock.
anything out.
He had that one time where he was filming Bigfoot, and it was about 30 yards away, and he decided to do a wood knock. And I know myself, I never watched anything of his after that. Yeah, that was enough for me, myself personally. Yeah,
the one where he calls it the Big Red. Yeah, that's the one, Daniel.
Okay, yeah, I remember this one.
I've seen this one.
Oh yeah, this one, yeah. See this one here, the creature never moved right either, eh? Yeah, I remember that now.
As far as the timber giant goes, I don't like to badmouth people. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. I saw a lot of his videos. I saw some pictures that he posted, especially the handprints on the vehicles, and it was so, to me, it was so obvious that those handprints on the vehicles were a hoax. That's just my just my opinion. From what I saw, you could clearly see where somebody had moved their fingers and tried to make it look like hands.
Look bigger, yeah. Are you guys familiar? I'm sure some of you are with Justin Smeenoff.
Oh yeah.
And Justin, you know what Justin said one time that totally made sense. He said a lot of people have something happen, a little experience, and they want to be able to prove what they've seen. And the next thing you know, they can't prove it, so they're slowly making things up to try and get people convinced, like, hey, look, this is really there. And then it just, that's just going too far. It's like you say, sometimes a true story is not very interesting. It's because if it's the truth, that's why nobody follows me. I don't have any followers on YouTube, really, because I go out and I look for Bigfoot and don't find him, which is pretty much the way it usually goes, right? So it doesn't make for good TV.
Is there a TV show that has the same concept? That you said you go out in the forest and you look for Bigfoot and don't find it.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. I think there's a TV show sort of premise. Go out looking for Bigfoot and they don't find it. Of course,
Sorry, we're breaking up there a bit, Kevin. I couldn't quite make that out.
I said I think there's a TV show that uses the same plot or format, that they go out looking for Bigfoot and they don't find it. And of course, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, they do make their show a little bit more interesting, though, I guess, with things. But like if you're just sitting there in the woods all night and nothing's going on, nobody wants to watch you doing that, eh?
Yeah. I think that was Daniel's mic that was crackling there.
Oh, yeah, crackling. Yeah. Sorry, Daniel's probably waiting to go on with something there.
I think he muted himself.
Oh, could be. Yeah. Again, if my battery dies here soon, I apologize, guys. So.
And I apologize if I've gotten a little long-winded tonight with my my stories and that. I have very a very bad habit of getting sidetracked and so forth.
Oh, no worries, Kevin. We're always, it's great to hear new stories from people and things. It really is for all of us. That's why we're here. A lot of people in the Bigfoot community very passionate about it, and I hope to see it proven someday to the world myself. Oh, sorry, Daniel. We had a bit of crackling there.
Yeah, loose connection. I have had a chance to, as I said, meet with Dale Braun. He interviewed me. We recorded my experiences in Limekiln Lake or the Moose River Plains and at Cascade Lakes. There's one other story I want to tell you about, not as interesting, but I stay at a place in the Adirondacks every year. I go for about 9 or 10 days, and it's down near Long Lake, and that's deep in the Adirondacks. And it's a place called John Dillon Park. It's a free campground. It's run by International Paper. They own all that property. They have lean-tos you can walk into a lot of the sites. There's one drive-up site that I use, and it's totally free. They've got a main lodge. They've got a pontoon boat that they'll take you out for, boat rides on Grampus Lake, and they even provide your firewood for you for free. They'll bring it right to your site. It's just
nice.
an amazing place. But I've been going there for about 10 years. Well, this is my next year will be my 8th year. Sorry. So, anyways, it's run by the staff of Paul Smith's College, so it's managed by Paul Smith's College, but the property is owned by International Paper, so they fund it. Long story short, probably about 4 years, I was out on the fishing dock, and I was just, sitting there enjoying the early evening, and I heard this crashing through the woods on the other side of the that part of the lake that I was in, which is probably, a good couple hundred feet across. And I looked across where this noise was coming from, and there's a little beach area, and where that area is, there's a hunting camp with a little cabin over there. You can't see it, but I saw these 2 deer come running down to the beach ahead of this crashing sound, and it was the early evening. It was quite cool, and you could see the mist coming off the lake. And these deer, while they were on the shore, one of them went right into the water up to its knees, and the other one was looking behind it at the crashing sound. So they looked like they'd been running from something. And the one that was still on the water's edge there kept looking behind, and you could see them breathing. You could see their breath, like when you breathe into the cold air, you can see your breath. Well, they were just heavy breathing. You could see the cloud of their breath around them, and they both got into the lake, and they swam across to my side, but over on the far down the shore. They swam all the way across that lake. As soon as they got in the water, that crashing stopped.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if that was a bear. I know that the manager there, Steve, has told me that they have had bear sightings. So whether it was a bear or not, I found it quite interesting and quite odd. I told the manager about it, and he said it's very, very rare that you'll see deer swimming across an open piece of water like that. He said whatever was chasing it they must have been pretty scared of it.
Yeah. Down here where I am, you see that quite a bit. You'll see deer in the river, right? Swimming from the islands and to the mainland and stuff. You see it quite often here. Right. It's amazing, the baby deer. They just follow their mother right into that river and they go away. They can just swim right from day one.
Yeah. I just found it quite interesting. But, that was actually how I got to Ron. Was I was at a campsite where I was camping in John Dillon Park. And up the road, there was a group of elderly, ladies, probably about 5 or 6 of them. and they came walking into my campsite, and they said, "Do you mind if we look around?" And I said, "Certainly, go ahead." They said, "We're just interested to see what this is like. We've never been through John Dillon Park." So, I was pretty open. I was sitting around the campfire by the picnic table, and one of them had mentioned that, or actually, I remember I had asked them, the ladies. They said, "Have you heard any, any odd noises or anything in the forest?" I didn't mention Bigfoot. I didn't say anything about it. I just said, "Have you heard or experienced anything odd?" And the one lady said, "It's funny that you asked that." She said, "Because last night," she said, "about 2 or 3 in the morning, said we were all woken up by this clapping sound."
Hmm.
And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "It sounded like somebody was clapping their hands together loudly." And I said, "Oh." And the other one said, "Well, it was near they were talking amongst themselves, and I caught that it was near where their cabin is, and that it happened, I believe, 2 or 3 times. And one of them said it sounded like rocks being smacked together, and another one said it sounded like somebody with hands clapping, once or twice." So, I said, I told them about my experience with Cascade Lakes and the Bigfoot. A couple of them just kind of chuckled and then took it in stride. And the one lady that said she was woken up said, "You may want to talk to my neighbor." And I said, "Who's that?" And she said, "Well, my neighbor, he lives across the road. His name is Bill Braun." She said he researches that sort of thing. So that's how I got to know Bill. She gave me his information, and I called Bill the next day or the day after, and he invited me down to see him. So that's pretty well how I got interested in all this.
I see. Yeah. Oh no, is Daniel still there with us, or
Did we lose Daniel?
I'm not sure. Everything went
No,
quiet. Oh, there
I'm
he is.
here. I was
Okay.
staying muted because if I don't talk, for some reason, if I just stay unmuted, it's like you guys are hearing some kind of noise. So, but
Oh, okay.
nah, that's why I was keeping muted. But we do have to get ready to wrap this up. Um, which first of all, I definitely want to thank Kevin. I'm glad you were able to make it on. We're definitely going to have you on again if that's cool with you. Is a lot of times when we get on YouTube, when we do these live podcasts, we talk about a variety of things sometimes. We do share each other's stories and encounters, experiences, and we talk about general research. And as you've seen, we pulled up a couple of videos and just to check things out. We'll share photos, we'll discuss things, and get everybody's opinion on it. And see, sometimes we try to debunk everything if possible. If there's something in there that we could debunk. And a lot of times, we're very fun and laid back and pretty chill on the most part. Um, One thing I want to announce, if everybody could tune in to make it, I just shared the link in the live chat. It's for tomorrow night's show. It's called Bigfoot Geek. Something new. Zach came up with this, and
Geek Squad.
yeah, and it sounds like it's gonna be really fun. Zach, could you fill us in on what all we're gonna be talking about?
Well, a little bit of everything whenever it comes to being a nerd. I know Daniel's a nerd. I'm a nerd whenever it comes to movies, wrestling, comic books, video games. We're all got a little bit of nerd in us. And so we're the ones that had the broken glasses that got the wedgies and swirlies in high school, basically. But it's just a bunch of Bigfooters getting together and Bigfoot enthusiasts. And we're just going to go complete geek tomorrow night on the Southern Illinois Monster Hunters channel. And so far tomorrow, I've got for the panel, I've got Daniel Benoit, Baltimore Govan Jr., and Robin Nelson from Wrestle Popcast. They'll be joining me. I'll be hosting it, and we're just going to talk about a little bit about everything. Revisit some old childhood memories and everything, like our favorite video games growing up, our favorite wrestlers, et cetera, et cetera. We're just going to have a really good time. It's something offbeat, getting away because a majority of my content on my channel is all Bigfoot related, but I'm trying to reach out to a different audience as well. So we're just going to explore our inner nerd.
Nikki, if you're up for it, you're welcome to join in too. So, anybody that's here is
Oh, I might.
So,
If I could just interject there quickly before you guys go, I don't know if you can see in the chat there. I posted my email and my phone number.
oh yes, absolutely.
Anybody here in Canada wants to, or in the States, whatever, wants to give me a call or email me beforehand.
Well, I was going to suggest that earlier, Kevin. Perhaps you and Buck could team up and maybe schedule some camping and do a little scouting around, and you guys might be able to learn from each other.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Buck, if you're still there, that's something you're more than welcome to maybe check that out. I think he may have dropped because I know he said something about he may be lost, so he's probably already dropped off. But I'll make sure I send him the information. You can find him on Facebook, Kevin. He goes by Buck9. The last name is NIE. So.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I really appreciate you having me. I got a little long-winded here with my stories, but
that's all right.
I'm just happy to be a part of this, and thank you for the invite. I'd love to be on again. And, maybe the next time I could go into the many conversations I've had with Dr. John Dendernagel.
Nice.
An amazing person. He passed away last year, and quite a sad loss to the community.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Kevin, before you leave, I got one question for you. Did you get into? Did the Bigfoot sighting kind of propel you into wanting to know more about Bigfoot, or did you already kind of know about Bigfoot beforehand?
Sorry, I had something in my throat there. I remember when I was listening to before I chimed in there and got the microphone working. I heard you guys talking about the In Search Of episode. I remember seeing that back in the 70s when I was just a child, and that really kind of piqued my curiosity. And I've always wondered about Bigfoot, but again, my logical side kicks in, and I'm, again, up until I saw what I saw, I was a skeptic. So I really got heavy into it after I shouldn't say heavy. I really took a keen interest in it after I had my first sighting. So I don't know if that answers your question or not. But,
it does. I got to tell you, a lot of the people who've reached out to me have said almost the exact same thing. I was a skeptic, and now I'm like whatever you want to call yourself, a believer, a knower. I've seen it, or I've experienced something that I think is a Bigfoot, and it launches their Bigfoot career. All of a sudden, they're trying to watch and listen and learn everything about Bigfoot. So yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to get carried away here. Just to let you know where I stand, and this is going to be a little. Some people may take offense to this. I have absolutely no in the the interdimensional, cloaking forest people. Some of the YouTubers call them. I have no belief in that at all. If that offends anybody, I apologize. But I've got to see it to believe it. So interdimensional Bigfoots or stuff like that. I think that's just a bit of malarkey as far as I'm concerned. Again, some people are going to take offense to that, and I apologize, but that's what I believe. Somebody else wants to believe that, all the more power to them. It's why we live in a democratic society. You can believe what you want or not believe it, and I'll agree to disagree.
No, well spoken. Because you'll be glad to know that a lot of what I share on my YouTube channel is very objective And I know a lot of us speak out against a lot of that foolishness. So yeah, what you said, don't feel bad for sharing that information. You're being true to yourself, and if people can't respect that, that's shame on them. So
I just don't find it lends any credibility to the core researchers who are, and the scientists who are like Dr. John Bindernagel or John Green or Bill Braun or whoever else is, um, investigating this. I just don't think it lends any credibility to bring those kind of beliefs into the core research, because it just, to me, it discredits science, saying that, Bigfoot is interdimensional, he can cloak at will and he can read your mind. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I don't think it has any place in the actual core research of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. And again, that's just my belief. But I think it does a great disservice, and it discredits the legitimate research.
yeah, again, I agree. One thing I want to mention before we jump off here, I definitely want to connect you with a real good friend of mine. He was also a speaker at our first annual Virginia Bigfoot conference this past year. Mr. Darby Orcutt. He's out of North Carolina. He's one of the staff at North Carolina State University, and I will tell you this. There's a lot me and him have discussed one-on-one. Mr. Dr. John Bindernagel was actually kind of a colleague of his, where they were actually working together on a project. It's a project that's kind of been kept on the down low, and it involves other biologists, primatologists, and so forth. And one of the things we speak on is a lot of it has to do with protocol, where science is trying to work their way. Basically, it's hard to explain. Darby could really explain it a lot clearer and simple than I can. But a lot of it involves logical science and protocol, to where a lot of what we are finding today to be used as legit evidence, but using proper protocol. But Darby Orcutt is very scientific and very logical, and I think you would really appreciate his viewpoints on a lot of things. So, but yeah, I will definitely connect you and introduce you. He actually has started a Facebook group. It's something to do with, I can't remember the name of it, but it's something to do with science.
Hold on, I'll find it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah, you've got my contact information there.
oh yeah, most definitely. And one more thing, Mike, I want to thank you for coming on too. We'll definitely get you back on here to join us again. And a lot of time, again, we are an open panel, and we discuss a little bit of everything. So, and for those who've been following our podcast, know that we can get into random discussion. So you just got to go with the flow and keep up with it.
I'd like to thank Kevin for coming in and rescuing me, because I was not prepared.
Oh, you were doing fine there, Mike. You were doing fine. So, yeah, it's like everybody showed up right at the right time, so it worked out great.
Well, as I said, I jury-rigged this together. I was looking around for, because I know you can use a speaker as a microphone in a pinch, and I've got this old Bose multimedia speaker that I have. It's got the RCA plug on the end, so I'm looking around for some adapters that I had. So I've got 4 adapters, from like the big headphone jack to the small one, to an RCA plug, to a small earphone jack. But it worked.
Well, that's great. I'm glad it worked out for you. And for those who tuned in on the live chat tonight, thank you guys again. And for future listeners, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget, if you have not done so, subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Blue Ridge Bigfoot channel and the Southern Illinois Monster Hunter YouTube channel. And don't forget, tune in tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Time.
Wrong.
I appreciate
Wrong what? You put
7
put on the
Standard Time.
you put Eastern Time. Yep.
I did.
You put 7 p.m. Eastern time on the live chat.
I'm
going
a
to
dork.
screenshot it. See? Screenshot it. That way you can't say you didn't.
I'm a dork.
So, okay. Zach messed up. It's 7 p.m. Central time. So, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, there we
Bingo.
go.
I've been putting down Eastern Standard Time for so many people, and now I'm just getting used to it. Give me a break.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you guys again. And keep it squatchy, guys.